So I wanted to come on today to discuss the pre-listing packet and how important it is as a successful listing agent. So what I like to do is when I first meet with clients, especially clients that have never met me before, is I want to tell them, who I am and, something about, why I do what I do, what drives me, and just to share a little bit about my experience. While clients know what you do as a profession, they don't know specifically who you are and why you do it. They just know you're a realtor. And so you want to dig in and share with them what drives you, your passion, your experience, and why you want to help them and why you do things the way you do. The next step in going over this with them is talking about your marketing process and not sharing the same thing everybody else does. Obviously, we all put them on MLS and then they populate the Zillow, Redfin, and everything else. That part doesn't matter. I mean, what you really want to focus on is you want to talk about what makes you different from everyone else, not what's the same, because that's where you're going to add value. An important point that a lot of sellers will really be focused on is your pricing strategy. This is where you have to really take control and share your experience because it's very easy for sellers to want a very large number for their home. A lot of times it doesn't align with maybe what the home is worth or what the market is giving at the moment. I'm not saying all sellers are this way, but typically, just like if it was your own house, you always want to make as much as you can when you sell. So it's important to share with them your pricing strategy and why you do things that way. Traditionally, agents get a little nervous here because if they're competing with other agents, everyone feels like they have to throw a big number out there to try to, beat the competition. And this could be a big mistake when meeting with your clients because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what you price at. If you can't sell it and get them that number, then you have failed. So you need to be realistic with what it's really worth and have them understand that you want to make as much money as you can for them. But this is the way you price it and why. So it's really important after discussing these things to share with them how your operation works. Like someone like myself, I'm going to share with them that I have a transaction coordinator and have a support system that includes three other assistants that all have their roles. We're also going to discuss the fact that I have someone who stages our listings. We own our staging. We fully manage the transaction from the beginning to the end through, everybody in the team has their responsibilities. So essentially from day one, from me meeting them and going through everything to then bringing the crew through to walk through the property to see what we might need to upgrade or make better for sale. We'll also coordinate all the inspections and such. After discussing pricing strategy, I like to share what our system is in the office as far as who does what. As much as, we want to be able to do everything on our own, being successful and selling a lot of homes has led to us building teams. Some of us, it's teams of agents. Some of us, it's teams of support. In my case, I'm always the listing agent and I'm the agent they're working with. And my team is all support. And so I introduce them to the different members of my team and what they all do, anywhere from the transaction coordinator to the real estate assistant to the personal assistant to our stager, because we stage all of our listings, as well as our field operations manager who coordinates all the inspections and any upgrades or repairs or cleanup we're going to do to the property. This is also a very important step that really sets us apart from everyone. So if you're set up that way or however you are set up, you definitely want to emphasize, especially if it's different than what most agents do, because it sets you apart. Lastly, as much as we don't like to toot our horns, at least most of us don't, it's really important to share at the end in your reviews. Maybe have some printouts of some of your reviews, or maybe some sites where they could see your reviews. Anything of proof of success and feedback from clients. Some sellers will ask for a list of references or if they can contact someone. It's good to have a list ready. I do have clients that have called before, and I do have previous clients that are okay with being references for me. If you're a brand new agent and you want to show some kind of proof of success, what I typically do is, for instance, like the agents that I mentor, since I am mentoring them, when they're new, they're allowed to use me as, part of their support or part of their organization. So essentially, when they're sharing that they're newer, they're also sharing that they're partnered up with, a senior broker that's overseeing and collaborating, and they can always share proof of ourselves. If they don't have that situation, if they don't have a mentor, they're just on their own, then essentially you just want to present yourself in the best way you can and not leave any doubt. I want to dress the part, speak confidently, be very confident, and not, essentially don't let them, like I like to say, don't let the tail wag the dog. Like be stern and be in control of the conversation. And it's like no one, you always want to be honest with clients. Like if they ask you, hey, are you new? How many have you done? You always want to be honest. But if you speak with confidence and you know your stuff, a lot of clients are going to assume that you have a lot of experience. And keep in mind that when it comes to selling homes, some clients, it might be their first or second or only once they'll do their entire lifetime. So typically you already have more experience than the client. You just have to portray that by being very confident. I have lots of stories of firsts. First I wanted to break into the $1 million listings back when that was a thing. Obviously now $1 million is like common, but back in early in my career, about 20 years ago, I really wanted to break into the $1 million, like, beach houses and high-end homes. And so I started doing open houses for other agents that had listings there that couldn't cover their open houses, to try to get to know the properties, the inventory, get to know the neighborhoods and the neighbors. And essentially, when I would start going to get these listings signed, I would talk about our brokerage, having listed and I having been involved and signed those other properties. So it's like, well, we don't see them under your name on Zillow or whatever. Well, it's because I was working with another agent in the office or what have you. And that helped me in getting into the $1 million listings. Another thing I would run into is, especially in the Bay Area, is people were used to be like what they call like neighborhood experts. That was a thing years ago. And so, I would be trying to get a listing signed, for instance, out of one near Santana Row. These have become my best referral clients that I have now. I moved them to Reno a few years ago, and I just helped them buy a place in Sonoma County recently. But I was talking to them. They're like, "Well, what have you sold in our neighborhood?" I'm like, "Well, nothing in your neighborhood, but a few miles away here in San Jose." And I know I was competing with other agents too, but they were really sold on my process and everything that I had experienced in, and how I spoke and how I carried myself. So I think that, there's always going to be, everyone's going to have some weakness, but if you're strong everywhere else, it's like almost like compensating factors, right? So yeah, I haven't sold in your neighborhood, but here's how much success I've had for selling for these other people in these other places. And at the end of the day, it's pretty much the same thing. I have access to the same data as the agent that's the neighborhood agent. And so essentially I could do, a great job as well. So there's ways to dance around that while being honest. This is Shane Carvalho, and thank you for watching. We'll see you on the next one.